We've got fact or fiction. Could the Badgers be better with a healthy Danny O'Neal than a potentially hobbled Billy Edwards? We're going to get into it back and forth on today's Locked On Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making this one of your first listens. Thank you for being here. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. We got Rajiv over there. Today's episode, we are doing fact or fiction. Rajiv and I are both bringing our own to the table. We haven't talked about them yet, so we don't know what the other one is bringing. We're going to probably have some disagreements, which is going to be great, but fact or fiction, football season has started. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. In the chat, you guys react to everything that we're saying. You let us know what side of this you're on. My first one, Rajiv, and again, we haven't talked about this with each other. Actually, before we even get started, man, quick programming note. We're going to try to do this show every week. Maybe it won't happen every week, but we're going to try to shoot for kind of an anchor show on Tuesday where we can do a fact or fiction, and this, I'm sure this can go all the way through basketball season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Like different Badger takes, we bring different ones, and I like the idea of not telling each other ahead of time, which will make it more fun and interesting and get the chat involved. And it's cool, like Tuesday night show.
I love it. Rajiv came up with this idea, by the way. So let's do this. My first one, man, I put this one in the chat so people could actually maybe react to this one as we were getting ready to go. My first fact or fiction: the Badgers are better off with a healthy, which I misspelled now that I look at that, Danny O'Neal going forward rather than a limited Billy Edwards. Let me set the table on this one. Part of Billy's game, part of the allure there, and again, if you remember young Billy coming in at Maryland, they used him as a power runner against Michigan. Part of his game is the fact that he can be mobile, that he can get out of the pocket, that he can make some people miss. That is a part of the Billy Edwards package that you're buying and you're putting under the Christmas tree. If that part is kind of gone, I'm not so sure he's a much better option than a mobile Danny O'Neal, who's probably not quite the passer, but his legs are a real weapon. And this is an offensive line, Rajiv. Let's get to my second point of this, that potentially is going to put quarterbacks in perilous spots the entire season. Thoughts? Fact or fiction here?
Totally fiction, and I'll tell you why. One of the things that we talked about a lot in the offseason with Billy Edwards, leadership, swagger, experience. Okay. And we're facing the toughest schedule that we've probably ever faced as Badger fans, as fans of this program. In order for us to have a successful season, we're going to need to have a strong leader, a strong personality, someone that's going to come out there and act like they're going to win all the time. And in even the small sample size, and this is going to be one of mine in a little bit, in the small sample size, I thought Billy looked just fine. And you can see he carries himself in a different way because he has that experience. We need that experience. Also, even if his knee injury is there, I don't think that necessarily makes him immobile. I think that Billy, yes, he can escape the pocket, but I think what he does really well is he escapes the pocket and uses his legs to create more lanes and to actually find passes. He's still got his eyes down the field. And when you face the defenses that we're going to face, I want the more experienced guy. I want the guy who's the better leader. I want the guy who's been saying the right things from the moment he stepped on campus. I fully believe in Billy Edwards, and I think he is absolutely the right guy to give us our best chance to win the most games this season. Even if he's got a bit of a nagging knee injury, I want him. Oh, no offense to Danny O'Neal, but Danny O'Neal, this isn't his time. This is the Billy Edwards year, and I want him to be there because it's going to be very difficult to get through the schedule. I want the guy that gives us the best chance, and for me, that's clearly Billy Edwards.
Those are really good points. That is really well said. The only thing I'd push back on, and I do think and someone said this in the chat, and I think it's very true. It depends a little bit on what would we mean by hobbled or limited or hampered.
Right. Very fair, right? Yeah.
Which we don't know, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not going to speculate. I do think there could be an element, because this is something that popped up in practice, and then again, it popped up in week one. There could be an element, if it's a kind of an in and out thing, that could really affect the cohesiveness of this offense. That's the other point I'd bring up.
Yeah, I think that, and again, us not knowing anything, I feel like he's going to play when he can play fully. And I mean, look, not from football, but I've had knee sprains before playing volleyball. I know it's a totally different sport, but like I understand the concept of it never really heals. And it's just one of those things that you deal with during the season. And yeah, like when he has, the good thing is this is actually a full rest period for him. Like unlike when he got hurt in camp, he still kind of played a little bit, right? Now he's not going to play for at least 2 weeks. He's not going to play this week. He might play for Bama, and I don't even think he's going to do that. So he's going to have that chance to rest. And I think his knee will be in much better shape. And I also feel like if this weekend was a playoff, he'd be playing. I don't think he's like, he can't play. I think they're making a decision not to play him because, yeah, he's hurt and he needs to heal up. I bet this is an injury that you can play through if you absolutely had to. And if he's out there, I'm assuming he's healthy enough to do all the things that he's going to do. So I don't think it's going to be in and out thing unless he re-injures it, of course, which that's a whole nother story.
Yep. I think let's move on to your first one. I will finish off mine by saying I actually agree with you. I think that is fiction as well. Like we can bring ours up here and say we're fact or fiction on it. I think it's interesting discussion, but I agree with you. I think that is fiction. What's your first one?
Okay, so I'm going to stick on the Billy Edwards train. I'm going a little out of order of mine because we're talking about Billy Edwards. So let's do that. So my first thought is fact or fiction. Billy Edwards was far better than his grades and stats reflect. And let me set the table for you here. We've gone back and forth on this text a little bit, but we both have watched the film. We both have watched all 22s. Like I've seen every throw Billy Edwards made, and I personally think he looked just fine. I know that he graded out very low. I know that his stats were low. I think of those, he was 6 of 13. He had 2 calls that all day should have been pass interference, all day, 100%, and it's not even close to me. There were definitely 2 bad throws he made to Vinny Anthony, for sure. One was out to a deep out on the left sideline, and then one was a deep ball that he missed. One ball to Vinny, I think Vinny should have caught. Vinny just didn't adjust to it properly. He had a throwaway call. He had a throwaway that was a good decision. Yes, Vinny was open in the middle of the field, but he was also under insane pressure from the left tackle issues that we've already talked about. I think Billy Edwards looked really good, and I know that people think that I'm crazy for that, and that's fine. I really think the poise that he carried out there is very impressive. I have 0 issues with the passes he made, the decision making that he made. I get that there's certainly like he missed a couple wide open guys. This is first week with a new system. Like all that would have got fixed. And if Billy Edwards would have played the whole game, 31 points guaranteed, in my opinion. Fact or fiction, Ryan? Billy Edwards was far better than his grades and stats reflect.
You know my answer. It's fiction. I think it's fiction. By the way, one of the best things I like about the concept behind the show, and this is one of the reasons I'm excited to do it, is you and I have the ability to disagree and not end the internet.
For sure.
Which I think is a unique thing in today's world a little bit, which is also something people in our community can do. It's why I love this community. No, dude, I think it's fiction. I think at some point it feels like we're making almost excuses for the veteran quarterback. You just talked about poise and leadership and all of the experience, right? And it feels like everything that didn't work quite perfectly, we're making excuses for him, right? It was a pass protection, or it was a throwaway, or it was pass interference. Those pass interference plays, even if they didn't happen, those aren't guaranteed completions. Mason did have pretty tight coverage across the middle. That pass to Griffin was a 50-50 ball in the end zone. You know, those aren't like it because there's probably pass interference there. Those aren't guaranteed completions, though, if that wasn't there. I mean, we're not sure those would have been completed. It feels like veteran quarterback, part of your job is to, I don't know, maybe find that guy coming across the middle under pressure. You're right. First game in this system, but he played at Maryland. All they did was throw deep bombs. I mean, they threw a lot of short stuff too, but Loxley throws the ball all the time. Those 9 routes to Vinny Anthony, those are throws he's made 1,000 times in his career in practice or in games. Those aren't unique throws to just this offense. He needs to hit open guys running down the field, right, to loosen up this defense. So I think where I'm at is very similar to you. I think we're almost aggressively agreeing in one sense. Like we both like Billy. I am not out on Billy at all, but I didn't think it was a great performance. And I know there's people that disagree with me on that as well. The pass protection didn't help him, and Vinny should have caught that pass on the left sideline. But if you're a veteran quarterback and you're under 50%, Pro Football Focus has you as the 3rd worst player on the offense. The QBR was, would have been there were 9 games last year that Braden Locke had a better QBR than Billy Edwards did. We don't love Braden Locke last year. I don't feel like it was great. And none of that means I'm off of Billy. I just don't think it was a good first half. Short sample size, 100%.
I mean, yeah, and we've talked about this. The PFF stuff and It's very valid in some respects, but there's also so much nuance behind it. And that's why when I looked at the things like when I watch Braden Locke play and I watch Billy Edwards play, there is zero comparison between the two quarterbacks as far as I'm concerned. And what I would ask back, I know we're up on a break, but like, what do you think he did poorly? Like, so you mentioned the passes to Vinny. Okay, but what didn't he do well in your opinion?
Well, I mean, I think that is it right there, right? It's missing deep passes against a defense that was crowding the box. Because even before he got hurt, we were there watching. I was with some of my buddies or my fam, I'm sorry. And I was telling my son, like, they're just putting 9, 10 in the box. I'm explaining football to him. It's great. But you got to hit those deep shots to loosen that up. And then I think, listen, if Braden Locke has a game where he misses somebody coming across the middle and then he has another pass that's tipped because a quick pressure, I think we get on Braden Locke for those things. Part of what we want Billy Edwards to do is to elevate the offense, is to take some of these pieces that aren't working great and find a way to make it work. Again, you're totally right. The point that you're absolutely nailing is it's incredibly short sample size. I'm not off Billy Edwards. I still think he's the guy, but I expected more.
It's fair. And I would say that it's all going to come in due time for it. And I'm very confident in that myself.
And I hope that's right. I would love that. And I think it will. Okay. We beat that one to death. We do need to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk more of our fact or fiction. Let us know in the chat which one you agree with. That's coming up next. Rajiv is going to lead up the next segment. But first, new friends of the show over at Mazda. Listen, this is an incredible sponsor. We're super stoked to talk about Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every single detail. You spend a lot of time in the car, driving to this place or that place, or if you're a family man, going to get soccer balls, basketballs, if you're a single guy going out to the bar, whatever it is, let's get there with some style. Let's get there with some, just a little bit more experience and fun and safety and enjoyment in what we're doing. Mazda offers more than safety. It's won the 2025 IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards more than anyone else, and it focuses on every detail. Mazda does the same as the elite athletes, from metallic accents to hand-stitched net leather. Whatever you're after, Mazda has you covered. It's the small details that make the big plays, and just like there's more to every player, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, Rajiv, we're going to come back to you. I let off the first one. What is your next fact or fiction?
Okay, so in the first game, there were 8 different people caught receptions from our quarterbacks. Fact or fiction, the catch distribution will be far more equitable than we originally expected. Now, we did a show recently where we talked about Vinny Anthony and Jaden Ballard and Tretch kind of getting those things. I kind of get the sense that things are a bit different based on what we saw the first game. What do you think? Fact or fiction? Catch distribution will be far more equitable than we originally expected.
This is a good one. I'm going to go mostly fiction on this. I do think, because of everything we talked about in the first segment with, Billy getting hurt, Danny coming in, the offensive line woes, week one, I do feel like I don't want to take too much from week one in terms of what it's going to look like. I think it was discombobulated. We scored 17 points. 7 of those came after the Preston Zachman interception. I do think if Vinny catches another ball, he has 5 receptions, right? He's on pace for 60 balls this year, which I think is the high end of what we expected. So I think it's going to normalize a little bit of a feeling out process, quarterback injuries. The passing game wasn't really clicking, and I think they just were doing whatever they could do to make it work. So I'm going to actually sell this. I'm going to say fiction on this one.
So I'm kind of in the middle as well. I do think that the fact part of it for me is that I do think more people are going to be in the mix. I think Chris Brooks already having 2 catches is fantastic, by the way. Like, that's so good. And Jaden Ballard, when he fell down the depth chart, we were like, ooh, is he really going to play? And I think he had 3 catches in the first game. So, like, I think there's already, and obviously Eugene Hilton got a catch. Tyrell Henry had a catch. Dylan Jones had 3 catches. I think it is going to be fairly equitable. So I'm going to officially say fact on this. You're right. The normalization will happen. Vinny's still going to lead the team in catches. That's clear from the first game. They're going to target him as much as they can. He's the best receiver. But it will be a very nice distribution overall. We don't have just one weapon. I think this team legitimately has a handful of weapons that they can use in different formations, different patterns. I think there's some good route running talent on this team. I was really impressed with what I saw from the receivers, not just from specifically the receivers, but the distribution. And that's Grimes' offense. Like, and you can see that. So I do think that I was wrong about how much some of those guys, like even Steck, like there's so many people now. I think it's going to be a much more equitable distribution, which bodes very well for the success of our offense.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I can see that. Does it bode well for our offense? Like, let me ask you this. Would it be better for the offense if the best playmakers got the ball more? Like, if Stretch, Vinny, Eugene, Mason just had the ball more, aren't those guys probably better playmakers than Brooks, Steck? You know, I don't know if that is better for the offense.
Sure. So, okay, good point. And I think it is because you look, as you said, the normalization is going to happen. Those guys are still going to get the majority of the touches. And that's right, because they're the talented people. They're going to be the ones that are open. But by having this many people that you can rely on in situations, not necessarily like they're going to get 40 catches, but if you can get Grant Steck a catch or two a game, if you can get Henry to catch or two a game, and Chris Brooks gets 2 or something, like that, just makes it so much harder to defend this group. And it means that whatever personnel grouping we have out there, there's danger there. That threat of the offense being able to throw the ball to any one of those guys just makes it that much harder to defend. So yes, you do need to rely on your better talent, but I'm all about the depth there, because it just means that we have got that many more weapons. And as we know, injuries happen. And it just means that there's a little more comfort level the deeper down you go on the depth chart.
Yeah, I like that point. I think most people here agree with you on this one. I was looking through the facts. Facts says Matthew Anderson says facts. Will says facts. Jan says fiction. Coach says fact. Ryan says fiction. Strong name. Any Ryans are going to get up on the...
With an H. It's an H, by the way, the last name.
Strong name. All right, let me go to my next one here. This is awesome. And guys, keep throwing your comments in the chat as well. My next fact or fiction. Is it possible, I guess I got to word this differently if it's fact or fiction, Davis Heinzen just had a bad game, and he is not nearly that bad. It can still be the answer at tackle. And let me set the stage for this. Do you think AJ Blazik's a good offensive line coach?
Yes.
Okay. Jeff Grimes is an offensive line guy who's an offensive coordinator. They went the entire practice and came out of it saying Davis Heinzen is the best option at left tackle. That's what they did. That's what the depth chart tells you they did. They just settled that in practice. Is it possible he just played a really bad game and we're maybe making too much out of, listen, that the game matters more than practice, you and I 100%. But he had weeks of practice where he was, in the coach's eyes, the best option at left tackle. Then suddenly one game later we say, no, he can't play left tackle. Fact or fiction, is it possible he just played a bad game and there's more there?
I want to say it's possible, but I'm going fiction on this, and I'll tell you why. I just look, and I'm no O-line expert. I don't know much. I'm not. There are people that know that position so well and can understand it better. We got a couple coaches in here, but there's a way you can look at it and say he had a bad game. That presents itself in a certain way. Then you have what happened to Davis Heinzen, and it wasn't. I mean, he got rolled. Billy Edwards was under pressure in a matter of seconds, like consistently on the left side, and the run blocking was disastrous at times. Look, I just think it's fiction, and I think that yes, I understand that the coaches saw them, and this is where I don't know kind of what that's like from a coaching perspective, but I also feel like, yeah, in practice, like you're never going to really see what that's like. You're never going to, the game always means different. And how you perform in a game is what defines you. It's not how you perform in practice. Could he be better in the future? Yes, he could be better. He has to be better than he was there. And I don't know how many reps he's going to get, but he will be better, I'm sure, because they will coach some things. But I also just feel like there's a level that he's never going to reach. And he's not, there's no Jack Nelson style left tackle there. There's nothing like, I don't think he could have had a bad game, but I think even if he has a better game, it's not good enough to be our starting left tackle. I want to say fact on this, but I got to go fiction, man.
And a couple people on both sides here. I think more people get on your side on this one. Bill Hanna says fiction. He's beaten too easy by speed. Coach Max says, y'all are glass half empty when you should be glass half full. It's fact. I trust Grimes and Blas better than y'all. So, hey, why are you putting that on?
And I get this take. I totally understand this take. This is a fair take to say that he good. And I want that to be true, but it's really hard to, like, in an entire game to see someone dominated that badly.
I waffled on this one. Again, some of these questions I'm putting up there, and I might be fact or fiction. I think I'm going to go fiction too. I don't know if I saw it, but I was pretty consistent in practice saying I didn't see it in practice. So to me, it was kind of a continuation of what I was looking at in practice. I talked about it. So I'm also going to say fiction, but again, I wish I was wrong on that one. Let's take a quick break here. We're going to come back. This is a great show. We're maybe going a little long on some of these, but they're a ton of fun. We're going to take a quick second, come back. We got a bunch more, including what to look for coming up this upcoming week, what might be true and what might be false coming up. Rajiv, next up, our good friends of the show. You know these guys.
I mean, let's talk about FanDuel, guys. Football season is here. The NFL is kicking off in a couple of days. I think we're all excited for that. Go Colts. I mean, college football's here. I did a show last week, 4-0 in my first 4 picks this year, which was fantastic. Really good way to start off. You can use FanDuel and you get the great odds. You can do live in-game betting. There's so many options for you. You can put parlays together, which is what I did. I hit a 5-team parlay this weekend, which paid $2,300 plus $2,300, 23-1. That's awesome. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Talk about making every game more exciting. Like, this is what it does. I was literally up late watching games just to be like, okay, where did my picks come in? Tracking every single movement. I was at dinner on Monday night, but refreshing the Miami Notre Dame game because that was the final thing in my parlay. It's so awesome. I love this time of year. And it's not just NFL, it's soccer, it's every sport that's out there. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
By the way, while he's eating dinner, he's texting me as well. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's true.
Next episode, our show episode today is also brought to you by our incredible friends over at Monarch Money. Monarch Money is really my key to financial success because I get scatterbrained and I have things here and there. Monarch Money brings all your finances underneath one tab. Your investment accounts, credit cards, car payments, bank accounts. It brings it all into one spot so you can log into one dashboard. It's like a personal CFO. So you can see where all your money's going. You can find, maybe you have some sneaky expenditures you don't realize are adding up and it's really hurting you. Maybe you want to do a little bit more with investing. Maybe you want to set goals with your partner, your significant other. You can do all those things at Monarch Money. It is also visual. It gives you graphs. It's awesome. And then again, this is a product I can speak to because this is a product I'm telling you I personally use. It's phenomenal. It makes my life a lot easier. I think it's going to do that for you as well. Right now, take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, Rajiv, whose turn is it? Is it my turn or your turn? I think it's your turn.
I think it's my turn. Okay. All right. So, fact or fiction? It wasn't Miami's poor play or just the new faces on the defensive side, but the schematic changes by Tressel that provided the most impact defensively. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's mostly fiction. I really do think it's mostly fiction. And this is consistent with what I thought last year. So maybe there's confirmation bias here. I think sometimes people, and I'm not innocent of this, I'm sure, go into things with a preconceived notion and then you find the data to back that up. But I said pretty consistently last year, he doesn't have any dudes. Like, I don't think he did anything dramatically different. I really don't. He had 2 defensive linemen, 2 bigger edge guys, but that's the point. He has bigger edge guys now. Mm-hmm. He has Mason Reiger now. He has Christian Allegro a year older. He has healthy Tackett Curtis, right? He has Austin Brown. Like, he has Sebastian Cheeks a year after being moved outside linebacker. He has Furby looked good. Like, these guys he just has a lot more pieces to work with. And it's freaking exciting, man. I love it. So I'm not going to say he didn't tweak anything, right? I was actually watching some All 22 today, and they were slanting maybe a little bit more. You know, they did some of that with Daryl Peterson and stuff. But, dude, I just think they're better. They're bigger, they're more athletic, and they're deeper.
So, yeah, I agree with you. I think this is fiction. However, the reason I wanted to talk about this, because I do feel like for the last 3 years, we've given Mike Tressel, frankly, a fair amount of stick for everything that's happened with this defense. And I want to give him some flowers. And that's why I brought this up, because I do really think that he deserves some credit for what happened here. You also saw a lot more stunts, right? With like Allegro and Curtis and the middle linebackers. And there was a lot more movement defensively. You mentioned on the reaction show about how the cornerbacks were up hitting, right? I mean, they were being very physical. That's coaching too. And I know that we've seen a lot of bad defense under Mike Tressel, and that was one of the best performances we've ever seen from a Badger defense in a while, definitely since Jim Leonard, just in the domination that team had, the ability to not give up any points, to force turnovers, negative plays, 3 sacks, like that was really impressive stuff. And I do think he made positive changes. Yes, it's definitely the personnel. I agree with you, but I think we would be remiss to just talk about the personnel and not talk about Mike Tressel making positive changes and basically saying that now that I've got my guys, let me show you how we can play defense. It's got to be, you got to take it forward. You got to push it through this crazy schedule. Excuse me. But I'm really impressed with what I saw from Tressel, especially watching the film back. Like there's definitely things he did differently because he has the guys. Yes. But kudos to him for making those changes.
Yeah, that's well said. Hunter says fiction. I think we have legit dudes, but then Zach came in and had a really good point, which not surprising from Zach. I'm torn. On one hand, we have dogs that are healthy, but there are twists and stunts I haven't seen before either.
That's right.
Now I lean fiction. Yeah, it's a good point. The Latimer corner blitz was beautifully schemed up. They attacked it perfectly. Like he definitely tweaked it, but dude, he's got more dude.
And was finding interesting ways to get pressure. How many times will we be complaining about no pass rush? And yes, we have better pass rushers for sure. Mason Reiger, obviously, but he schemed things to get more pressure on, by the way, a mobile quarterback that frankly last year would have probably found a way to score 20 points on us. Like that was not, I know I'm not saying they're a great team, but that quarterback won an MVP in that conference a couple years ago. So really, really well done to keep that team and that quarterback to 117 yards. A lot of credit.
Can I throw one quick point on this out, though? How many times did he stunt or twist last year, and we just didn't see it because the athletes couldn't get there? I don't know if it's not like
it was less.
It's not like he never did it, right? He didn't.
You're right.
Learn how to do it this year.
He definitely. You're 100% right. But I have gone back and watched some of last year's film too, and he has done it more. For one game, he didn't do it as much as he did in this game.
That's fair. No, I love it. Here's my next one for you. Fact or fiction? There's not much you can learn about this team given the opponent coming up against Middle Tennessee. And you could have Davis Hines in at left tackle. You could have Daniel Neal at quarterback. Middle Tennessee just lost 34-10 to
Austin
P, which is AP's first win over a Division I program since 1987. Since 1987, Rajiv. Fact or fiction, there's not a lot we're going to be able to take out of this upcoming week.
So I will say fiction. I think there's plenty that you can take out of this upcoming week. Yes, you're not really going to take, okay, how are they going to play against good teams? But I think first and foremost, you take from the offensive line, because we have been all over this offensive line for the last few days, and they need to kind of show up and play their kind of game. You can also learn a lot about how consistent the defense can actually perform. Like, yes, we're not going to put a bunch of stuff on film. We don't need to. This team is going to be bad. We should kill them. But when was the last time we actually destroyed a team, Ryan? Like that, there is something to be said for beating a team by 40 something points and putting up a 40 burger and winning 55-3, which other teams just tend to be able to do. Well, this is our time to do it. So I think you can learn. You should be able to do that on this team, even with a backup quarterback. You should be able to keep them to under 10 points for sure. You should be able to put up 40 at least on your own, if not 50. And how well we do that and how well we can make that happen and put, sort of, for lack of a better phrase, just kind of step on their necks and crush them. Like we should be able to do that. So I am looking for that. I don't want to see like a 17-point game in the fourth quarter. None of that nonsense. So I think a lot can be learned. Yes, it's not necessarily how it's going to translate to other teams, but if you beat a team by 40, 50 points this week, then you can carry that confidence as much as you can gather up into Tuscaloosa to try to find a way to do that. So I say fiction, you can learn a lot.
P says fiction. It's Heinzen's test. A couple of people in here saying fiction. I just don't know if it's going to be a test is the thing. So I will say this, and I think you're hit on something similar here, and I agree. There's value in it for sure. There's absolutely value in it. I just don't know how much we can take. I'm going to say a little fact here. I don't know how much we can actually take from it. I think is my more nuanced point. Absolutely, there's value in beating up a team 55-3. I would love to see that. It would be good for Heinzen. But if Heinzen plays this week, this is a team that they averaged 2.9 yards per pass. They ran for 44 yards. You talk about, can the defense be consistent? I don't think this is a test of that, right? They couldn't move the ball in Austin P. They couldn't. So that's more my point. Heinzen could go out there and play great, or the offensive line could look great. I don't think that makes me feel necessarily better going forward because of the state of what Middle Tennessee is right now.
That's a very good point. And I think you said it right. The nuance that you spoke with about like what can you learn, and I'm going to put this comment up from Zach Barr. It's always a good commenter. You can also put up a lot and see where your depth lies, which I think is a really interesting point. If you jump on MTSU early, young guys backups can get reps, and you can see what you have. If someone goes down, game reps are invaluable. Really good point. You can learn about the depth, and that is what you can learn about. So yeah, you're right though, Ryan. Like from a nuanced perspective of how much can you really learn? I get it. The value is clearly there, but I think Zach brings up a really good point about the depth.
Yeah, no doubt there. And Mitch as well. You could use the confidence of just putting up 40 points. I agree. Again, I agree on the value of crushing a team. I think that's there. I'm just not sure about the overall lessons you can learn about the team playing Middle Tennessee. Yeah. Rugiet, what's your next one here?
Okay. Fact or fiction, the Grimes offense is already far more impressive than Longo, even with the small sample size. Ooh, he's thinking.
Well, Longo's first game we put up, what did we score his first game? Wasn't it
34, I think?
40? I thought we hit 4.
Because that was Buffalo, right? That was Buffalo.
Did we hit high 30s?
I think it was 34, I think.
And that was with a Keontae's, right? A Keontae's Lewis drop that would have been another 7. He had that bomb from Mordecai that he dropped in the second quarter, where we talked about, or was it Skylar Moore? It might have been Skylar Bell.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to say I like this offense a lot more. So I want to say yes. Let me caveat there. I like this offense a lot more, but we scored 10 points, essentially. Right. So I'm going to say no because I got to see it still. I do think I have no doubts that this offense is going to be better than that Longo offense. I like it a lot more, but we scored 10 points on Miami of Ohio. If you go back to look at what Longo did his first game, again, it was upper 30s against Buffalo. So I think I'm going to say fiction on this one.
Yeah, this was a tough for me because when I wrote it, I was thinking, oh, this is fact. Because I do, like, I'm really square in the middle on this one. And again, I brought this up for the discussion of like, I really like what I'm seeing out of this offense. Partially, it's with that lens of like, we are getting some identity back, or at least trying. Now, we didn't run the ball very well. Obviously, 3.8 yards per carry is atrocious against that team. However, like the fact that we are doing that, the fact that you can see him implementing new blocking schemes, you can see, I love some of the route trees that I saw, especially when Billy was in there. That got a little more vanilla when O'Neal came in there, which is rightfully understandable. But I just feel like the offense just looks so much nicer, and you can see what's happening. You can see what the goals are. You can see the multiplicity that he always talks about. It has to get better, but I mean, I'm pretty much right in the middle here. I do think this is a more impressive offense than Longo. I just like it better. I think it's more reliable. I think it's going to stand the test of time. We're not just going to get crushed, but at the same time, we obviously have to see more, and we have to see the run game work. I was on a show with some Middle Tennessee people earlier, and I said that one of the keys is we have to run the ball, and we have to prove that we can run the ball. I don't care who we're playing. We ran the ball like crap last week. That has to improve. Do I believe that the Grimes system is going to can do that with better O-line play? Absolutely. I mean, if Kevin Haywood's in a left tackle, it's a whole different ballgame, and I think we all know that. So I just think that, but as far as what was called, when it was called, the whole, like the cadence of everything and what I saw in the film, I am impressed with the offense as long as it continues to put up points and get better. But I really, really like what I saw as far as like the plays and the play calling.
But outside of the 10 points scored, essentially.
That's fair. Very fair. I mean, it's a good discussion point because I think it's a lot of people are looking at that. Like, well, what about the Grimes offense? Well, yeah, we put up low points, but like, I mean, his system is going to work. And maybe that's just wishful thinking.
Ryan says, listen, I hated Longo games play calling, but we did have a few games where we lit it up. Jan says better, but not far better. Like the offense. Will Hanna says too early to tell, but I'm more of a fan of this type of offense.
Yeah, I think what Will's saying is really more like what I'm thinking right there. Yeah,
and I vibe with that. And Jim says more dynamic and creative results will come. I think it's very fair. Let's finish up here. We're not going to get to all of them today, but that's fine. We can shelve some. My last fact or fiction. You feel better about this schedule after week 1. Listen, I know you and Justin talked a little bit about, Iowa maybe early on. The quarterback play didn't look great. Indiana maybe didn't look great. Obviously, Bama did not look great. But listen, conversely, Maryland looked a little spicy. Washington's Devin Williams looked pretty good. I thought Bryce Underwood for his first career start, 21-31, looked pretty good. Where are you at? And by the way, I don't know who's going to score on Ohio State in the Big Ten this year.
Maybe we are. I feel pretty neutral on this, honestly. I mean, and I hate to be just the neutral guy, but for those exact reasons, I think like definitely about Alabama looks like they can be a bit beatable. What week one showed me is that a lot of teams have warts, has warts, right? Like we have our warts certainly, but so does everybody else. And I think that it's all about like what Luke Fickell said today in his press conference, like getting better every week and who can actually be playing their best football at the end of the year. So in general, I would say I probably do feel a little bit better about it just because I think some of those teams that I was like, man, look, Indiana, like you obviously had beating Indiana. Indiana looks like a very beatable team, at least at the present time. And we're only going to get better. And ultimately though, Ryan, the reason I feel better about the schedule is because of our defense. That's the reason. Like if that's real, if that defense, I know you did a show earlier this week about, is it real? Like if that defense can perform at this kind of level and be that disruptive and cause that many issues, teams are going to find it very hard to beat us, especially if Edwards is healthy and we can get this O-line figured out. Like it's going to be hard to beat us. So I think that's what gives me those confidence that I do feel slightly better about the schedule. It's that defense is so nice to see. We have been begging for a defense that can do that. 117 yards and no points. That's impressive.
Sebastian right there with you, cautiously optimistic. Yeah, I think I'm there. I think I'm there too, man. I think you and I are pretty similar in this one. I feel slightly better. The Bama thing, I don't know. Again, let's caution ourselves making too much of week one, where they go into a road game against a pretty good team with a good quarterback, a really smart offensive coordinator. We still got to go into Bryant Denny. Like, and maybe Florida State's really good. Maybe that team ends up winning the ACC, or so. I'm gonna be a little hesitant to say Bama's suddenly super gettable, but yeah, I think I feel a little bit better. And I think your defensive point is totally on point. Like defense travels. Defense, if you have a good defense, it's the most consistent part of football because you can get in a bad weather game and your offense just stalls out or your quarterback's missing some reads or whatever. But if your defense is there every game, you're going to be in every game. And I think to that point, yeah, I think it's well said. Any last thoughts here? I know we didn't get to everything, but this was a fun show.
Yeah, what I would just say to add to that, you're right about the Alabama thing. And Castellanos, the quarterback for Florida State, I watched that whole game. We don't have a Castellanos. That dude is a serious athlete. He is really good. And Florida State has been totally slept on, so kudos to them. But I think the reason that Alabama is a bit more gettable is because, as I said this to Justin the other day, DeBoer is not Saban, and that is about as clear as day. Because let me tell you something, a Nick Saban team would have never, ever gone to Tallahassee and played like that. There isn't a chance in the world. And that's the difference. That's why there's a tiny sliver of like, well, this team isn't as I'm not saying they're not good. They're talented as all hell, but they're not as invincible as they once were.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. And that aura of invincibility has been shattered, right? Like there's a chance this could go off the rails for them. There is a chance that the fans are kind of getting angry, that the players might turn on each other a little bit. That's not a program used to turmoil. You remember a couple of years ago when was it 6 LSU came into Lambeau and they had, Fournette and they had 5-star guys everywhere. That team ended up losing 6 games because they lost a couple. They got punched in the mouth and it just went off the rails for them. They weren't actually tough inside. So Bama could maybe go off the rails a little bit here. That's possible. I don't know. Yeah, I hear you. I think it's a good point. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. Again, really quick, Locked On continues to kind of crush it with college football. It's another big moment for Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff. It's your ultimate college football weekly preview. We got Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 along with two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, joining us. It is going to be phenomenal, plus all of the Locked On local experts. College football preview that only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire. Definitely want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you for all the comments. I think the next one, we'll do this again next Tuesday, barring any type of scheduling issue. And we would love to get some of I already lost the fact or fiction from the community. I lost the title of the show in my brain, Rajiv. But from the community, send us some as well. We'll knock them out on the next show. Rajiv, last thoughts? Take us out.
Man, 1-0. Let's keep going. Let's see some real growth this week in some positions that we desperately need it.
On Wisconsin, we'll talk tomorrow.